without the camera. What's up, YouTube? What's going on? Sorry, I've been having camera issues lately, man. Didn't want to keep the three strong there hanging. Scott, what's going on? What do I think of Brian Kelly's tenure thus far in Baton Rouge? How do I see the future unfolding? My quick answer is it's going to come down to LSU's NIL support. One thing that I think people are sleeping on is the fact that teams are going to be able to double dip, right? You're going to be able to have the new revenue share pot of money that, hey, all the big time schools are all going to put in whatever it is, 13, 14, 15 million dollars. But then where's your collective on top of that? Because schools like Oregon, schools even like a USC, if their salary cap last year was like 20 million, this year it's going 30 million. Dude, next year it's about to be 35, high 30s, maybe even 40 million, because you're double dipping. You're getting revenue sharing and you're getting collective on top of that. I think Brian Kelly's tenure is going to come down to, how much does LSU cough up? I actually don't know where LSU stands with NIL. Like in the SEC, Ole Miss is taking a huge stride. Bama's trying to, make moves there. Florida's done some good things. Tennessee's done some good things. I'll tell you guys what. I was at the Elite 11 on Tuesday night. That Tennessee commit, I'm blanking on his name. He's got a first name as his last name. I'm totally forgetting. That Tennessee commit, the number one QB in the country, the 2026 dude, that dude is next up. That dude is legit. His motion's clean, got tons of arm strength, ball pops out of his hands, clean. I spoke to the 11 quarterbacks for like a half hour. He was looking at me dead in the eye the whole speech. Big fan of that dude. I don't follow recruiting, so I'm terrible with the names. I should. You guys know this. It's my least favorite part about covering college football, to be honest, high school recruiting, but that kid is legit. Okay, love it. YouTube, good stuff. The traction's back there. Last week, I was like, dude, why is there only like 2 people on YouTube last week? And then I realized after the fact that my internet was faulty. So that explains it. Love it. But Scott, good to see you again. Awesome Areolas, man. What a name. Dual platform today. Out of nowhere. A squared. If you were a billionaire, what program would you dump NIL funds into to deliver a champion? Funny enough, I literally made a short form video, if you haven't seen it, who I think Elon Musk, if he went into the college football NIL game, who would I dump money into? I said he'd go to UCF, Space U. If it was me, though, I'd go Washington State, man. Bring the Cougs back. Bring the Cougs back. That was my dynasty team back in NCAA football, the video game. I feel for the Cougs. My best buddy growing up was a huge Coug fan. So like my first college football memories are watching the Apple Cup, rooting for the Cougs. And what a story that'd be. If a billionaire went to Washington State, they're no longer in the Power 4 or the Power 2, whatever you want to say, bring them back to prominence, it'd be electric. Yo, Max, I'd like to know if you think Kenny Pickett will have an NFL resurgence. I think it's worth putting him in the conversation of him and Daniel Jones as like the next guys that could potentially follow the track of Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. All right, who's next? Daniel Jones, Kenny Pickett. I think they both could happen. Unfortunately, I just think the situation for him in Cleveland is just not ideal for him to get a real, true opportunity. So I don't think it'll happen for him in Cleveland. But that's not to say down the road he couldn't get another look. I know Kenny is a first-class dude, so I think he's going to hang around the NFL, and I think he will get another shot to start. I do. Whether it's by way of him earning the job or injury. But, it was the blessing and the curse of going to Pittsburgh. It was like a cool story, right? He literally goes from walking in the right door, which football fans sleep on this. Literally, the Steelers and Pitt's facility is the same building. The right door is Pitt Panthers. The left door is the Steelers. Super cool. Fun fact. So he literally went 4 years of going through the right door and then goes down the left door. Cool story. Keeping him at home. But I also think that may have put an added layer of pressure on him. That's just tough to handle. So it was like the blessing of and the curse of going to the Steelers situation. I also think that QB class was weak. He probably was a fringe first round talent in a different class. He probably doesn't go that high. Probably. So that's also, he took advantage of that because he gets drafted higher, but then it's not as the pressure is probably higher than he would have liked. Would you make Pelluer your head coach? Yes, sir. He's the head coach of my Skyline Spartans, baby. Can't get over Kenny's tiny hand. So it's funny. Literally, I was just filming a YouTube video 10 minutes ago. The best piece of short form content I had last year on YouTube was about how I invented the quarterback mud at USC. Go watch that video. It was on all platforms, but it's that quarterback mud. I got a buddy who works for the Seahawks. I got the Seahawks quarterback mud recipe and I'm making it. So I'm making an NFL football with the recipe. YouTube video coming out soon. Check it out. Splendid Daddy. Who was the best at Elite 11 and why is it Diabel? Diabel was legit, man. So it's funny. I was going into that night. Again, I went there Tuesday night. It was fun. They had me speak to the guys for a half hour. Bell was legit, but it was the Tennessee guy. He was the best dude for all the reasons I just said before. Sanders keeps getting speeding tickets. Maybe Pickett's chances of resurgence goes up. Did I miss something, Travis? Travis, good to see you, man. Did he get a speeding ticket? I haven't been on Twitter today. Did I miss something? JT Beckett, it's good to have you here, man. TikTok, how we living? Shrimp fried rice. What up? Thanks for sharing the live. Shrimp fried rice. Appreciate you. More of a chicken fried rice guy, though. Got to have sriracha on it. Or sambal. Are we a sambal? Are we a sambal house? Are we a sambal crew or a sriracha? People know about sriracha. People sleep on sambal. I think I'm saying that correctly. My bad. I've been known to mispronounce things. But the chunky red hot sauce that you get at like legit Thai spots, sambal, heat, fire. If you're late, do you ask for a ride from Shador or Ruggs? Did Shador get a parking ticket or a traffic ticket today? What did I miss? One sec. It's the problem, man. You like delete. Oh, wow. 3 hours ago. You delete, or I'm just not an X guy. I missed that. Wow. Driving 101 miles an hour. Bro, what are we doing, man? Browns rookie quarterback Shador Sanders was cited by police early Tuesday morning for driving 101 miles an hour. Bro. This is what people are talking about. This is a reason you get that. The reason he fell, part of it was there's confidence, and then there's a line where it goes over into arrogance, and it's borderline like you're not plugged into reality. I'm not saying people knew he was going to get a speeding ticket, and that's why he fell. Kids make mistakes. I get that. But, like, bro, there's a through line between being delusional that you're going to dictate terms of where you go in the draft to then also 2 months later getting a speeding ticket. It's the same area in the brain. I'm reading this article. Wow. You guys are getting live reaction. $250 fine, 4th degree misdemeanor. Goodness gracious. 101 is no flipping joke, dude. I'm not scared of swear words, but for those that missed it, posted a TikTok 2 weeks ago, same exact video. I dropped SHIT video, got 700 views. Same exact video, bleeped it out, 7,000 views. The algorithms, man, getting smarter and smarter. Who do I get a ride from? I mean, wait, was Shador intoxicated? Dude, the Browns have to be like, give me a break, bro. We had Johnny Manziel. We have the Deshaun Watson situation. And now this. I don't know all the details, so I don't want to put Shador in that classification yet. Going 103 is just so effing dumb. All right, what do you guys think about this? No field sobriety test was given. 12:24 a.m. on a Wednesday night. 60 miles an hour over in a Dodge TRX truck. Bro, goodness gracious. All right, I got to dive in. Feel like there's a content thing in here. Bro, come on. And gosh dang it, I'm making a video right now about the historical stakes if Shador started week 1 as a 5th-round draft pick. Never happened in the history of the NFL, a 5th-round draft pick starting week 1. I know Shador's got a long ways to go, got even a longer ways to go after this, but you know, we get numb to the fact of how odd it is that a 5th-round quarterback is actually competing for a starting job, supposedly. There's a world where that happens. There's a non-0% chance that happens. Never happened in the history of the NFL. There's been 2 4th-round picks, Dak Prescott and I believe Kyle Orton. Russell Wilson was a 3rd-round pick and some dude from the Bills in like 1970 or something like that. Very rare, very rare, very rare. Awesome Areolas. What a name. Active in the chat. Love to see it. Welcome. Catching up on all your comments. Dude, that's crazy, man. How much PR training do the college athletes get? Did you get at USC? Great question. Question of the day. The question to beat so far, coming from Travis, an OG on the YouTube lives. So it was funny. My very first meeting at USC, it was in sanctions. So the temperament around everything media, everything exposure, everything had to do with, outside of the building. People were on high alert during my time at USC. Walked in, one of our first team meetings, Lane Kiffin talked about, and that's in an era where it's 2013. So there was an era where like social media, if you were a big time athlete, you like kept things private. You had a private profile. You only accepted your friends. It was very much like you're scared to put yourself out there. You're scared to be public at all. Total 180 to nowadays. Now you're like a dumbass if you don't have a public profile because you're losing opportunities to, connect with fans and whatnot. But it was basically the temperament of like, be careful what you post, don't like keep it about football. Don't branch yourself out there. You never know who's looking, what reporters are going to be out there. And then they did like, how to handle yourself in front of the media kind of thing and like talking points. So yes, there was probably like 2 days in the summer, 1 day in the summer where you like give a media training course, but it's nothing legit. It's kind of trial by fire. I mean, you learn by way of getting, by doing media interviews, but like the social media stuff, especially for a guy like Shador, where he gets drafted and then goes live on TikTok right afterwards. Like that is free reign. That's the wild, wild west. You never know who's going to pop in behind you. You never know what you're going to say, especially if he's had like a couple things, like, a couple drinks or something like that. Like it's a whole new world than when I was in college. Dude, awesome Areolas. Sneaky MVP of the chat today. Says, remember when Jeff Toole almost started week 1 for the Bills as an undrafted rookie? Cool full circle moment on the live today. Jeff Toole. Someone asked me what program I'd want to revive. I mentioned Washington State. Well, Jeff Toole was my quarterback in NCAA football 2014, 2010, 2012. 10 or 12. But he was my that I would use in dynasty mode to go win a national title with Washington State. Awesome A, are you from the Northwest? That's a niche reference right there. Full circle. And then even more fun fact, his college roommate is one of my buddies today. Grew up in Sammamish, grew up where I grew up. Oh, the random through lines that come through on the TikTok and YouTube lives. It's been fun, man. We've been doing this for like 3 months or so. Traction's been going up. This is the most lame time of the football calendar year. So if you're hanging, you're a true OG. You look like a slightly older version of Joe Burrow. Over under, I feel like the quota on the lives is like over under 10 Joe Burrow comments. So we're at like 2. Thoughts on Kevin Jennings from SMU, Isaac on TikTok. Thanks for hanging, man. So fun fact, dude, I feel like I say this every single week. It's probably because of the games that I get. I called Kevin Jennings' first start of 2020. Sorry. I called the first start when Kevin Jennings was like the solidified starter last year, SMU, TCU. I think he's legit. The fact that they went with him when they already had an established starter in place, they know how legit he is. I always get excited when quarterbacks go from, hey, one off season, I had to earn my way. I had to play with a short leash. Wasn't sure if I have one wrong possession, I might get benched. Locker room's kind of divided, not sure who the guy is kind of thing. That's a totally different mentality to then the very next off season. You're the dude. You're the franchise quarterback. You have expectations. There's excitement around it. Total different mentality. Total different. The confidence that you show up with is night and day different. That applies to Kevin Jennings. I think he's legit. I think he's a really good college quarterback. I expect big things out of him this year. That offense is fun too. Rhett Lashley's a really good play caller, especially for head coach. It's a rare breed these days. Head coach play caller combo. Jamie is talking about Lincoln Riley making Jade Maiava a stud, right? No reason he can't, man. I think he's got the talent. It's interesting. I made the comment last live on Tuesday of, it's been a long time since there's been a USC starting quarterback to open up the year with less buzz than Maeva, right? There's always like NFL quarterbacks or some unique angle. Like Maeva's like flying under the radar, man. Even in the Big Ten, there's the Illinois cat, the Penn State cat, Drew Aller, Dante Moore, Nico Iamaleava, Francisco Mendoza or Fernando Mendoza. All those guys get talking points above Dylan Raiola. There's like 5 quarterbacks that get mentioned before Maeva. Could be a lot different at the end of the year. Did Diego actually get offered 4.5 to leave Vandy? Scott, did you watch that interview? Because I watched it randomly eating dinner last night. First off, why did no one stop that interview and tell him to pull his shorts down? The poor guy gave the whole bussin' with the boys interview with like his shorts like 4 inches down. His like entire thigh was out. It was like his nuts were about to pop out. But bad ball there by the producer. Dude, Pavia, man, that dude I feel like is on cloud 9. I love the confidence. Kind of calling 4.5 to leave Vandy. Dude, the money being thrown out there, maybe, but he's got to go to a very strict offense. He's got to go to like a run first pat, like an old school Auburn offense, like the UCF offense. He's got to go there. He's got to go to he's got to go to a very niche offense, like a very run focused quarterback offense. Timu looking Joe Burrow. Got that yesterday. We're meeting our quota. That's 2 Joe Burrow comments, at least the ones that I've seen. What a 69 me hard go Falcons. What a username. We have some wild usernames in the chat today. So you don't think that I'd be saying those. I see you guys. Bob Saget. Throwback. Uncle Rico arc soon from Pavia. See, Pavia's got more beef than Uncle Rico. Crazy. Any White Lotus fans in the house? People sleep. Uncle Rico is the villain in White Lotus. People sleep on that. Uncle Rico had hair. He's bald in White Lotus. A little bit different. We need our football fix this time of year. I feel you, Scott. Best first-year QB to make a run at Heisman, Arch Manning, but I don't know. That might be cheating. Dante Moore, he's not like a first-year quarterback. He's like a quasi-first-year quarterback. Julian Sainz, interesting to me. Whoever wins that Bama job is interesting to me. What other guys are out there? What other like total dark horse guys are out there? Damon Williams, Washington, dark horse. World Cup of NFL. Yeah, I'm not a soccer guy. Love FIFA the video game, but I'm not there. Ooh, Max Murai. Sorry, I'm going to say that wrong. Love the question. Favorite best hole at Oakmont. So for those of you guys that on TikTok, content didn't really pop over there. I played Oakmont in the U.S. Open Creator Day, filmed the whole round, announced it a little bit over there on YouTube. Type in best golfer versus world's hardest course, Max Brown. It'll pop up. It's got to be 3 though, Max. I ripped the drive like 310, little baby cut right there past the bunkers. I was playing the men's tees, not the tips, so I was able to like get it way the heck up there. 3 was sick. That was fun, especially with like the church pew bunkers on the left-hand side. For me as like a guy who didn't get into golf until after college, there's holes that stick out as like an average golf fan that you just know growing up. There's like 3 at the Masters, Amen Corner, 18. There's 18 on Pebble Beach, and 3 at Oakmont is one of those holes. So to have a great drive there, and then I had a green in regulation there, but then I freaking 3-putted in Classic. It was funny. I was lining up a par putt, and then my hood in my golf jacket came up and hit me mid backswing. That's why you don't wear a hood golfing. But 3 is probably it. I birdied 16, which was sick. I didn't realize how cool 17 was, the drivable par 4, until I watched it on TV. I totally shanked my drive into the tent. But that hole is cool just because it's so unique to have a drivable par 4. But it's a cool course. Cool course. I'll be honest though, I played Pinehurst the year before, same event. I liked Pinehurst better. No one ever likes to dog on golf courses that are like first class. I get it, right? It's amazing. But Pinehurst was better. I'm lucky this year. I'm getting two little golf nuggets. I'm getting fitted for clubs tomorrow. I'm super excited about it. I'm still rocking my Nike Vapors from 2016. Getting fitted for clubs tomorrow. But this year, Zach, what's up, man? Good to see you. Playing 3 U.S. Open courses this year. Like I'm not some golf, like I'm not crazy. I'm not a stick, but I'm getting looped into it. Chambers Bay, played LACC for the first time a few weeks ago, and then we had Oakmont. So we're out here, baby. We're out here, almost in single digit land. I'm at a 10-4 right now. Handicap's almost getting down there. Who do I think starts between Jackson Dart and Russell Wilson? It'll depend on the performance in training camp. Yes. I mean, I agree with always the stock stance on that like if it's equal, you always go with the vet because you want to have the rookie, ease their way into the NFL. What's super unique about the Giants quarterback situation is that staff is on as short of a leash to enter the season as like any front office head coach combo in recent memory. So they got to have traction right away. So they're going to play the guy that gives them the best chance. Like sometimes if it's like, it's close, maybe we go with the young guy, get him reps, get him on the field. If it's 55 Russell Wilson, 45 Jackson Dart, they're going Russell Wilson. I think Russ wins the job. Jackson Dart, his random, weird, goofy turnovers in college concern me. Playing him earlier than maybe you would like is a recipe for those turnovers to show up in the NFL. I don't think they want to do that. I think Russ starts. I also think, I've been saying this, I think they'll find a way to deal, I think they'll find a way to deal Jameis Winston. I just don't think you can have Russell's personality, Jameis's personality, and a rookie quarterback that you're trying to develop in the same quarterback meeting room. That just to me is too many cooks in the kitchen, too many personalities. Do I think Longstreet could play this year at USC? Unless things go off the rails. Maeva's solid. Like for a college quarterback, like the bar at USC is so high that USC fans get numb and sometimes delusional to what the realities of having a college quarterback mean. But I think Longstreet, from all like the highlights I've seen, seems legit, but I think it'll be Maeva. Also funny, I chatted with Sam Heward, who former 5-star quarterback. I chatted with him for like half an hour on Tuesday night. He's also on USC's roster. So you never know. Mr. Meaty with another Joe Burrow reference, trying to hit the quota over under 10, saying, oh, there he goes another one. That's 3 and 4. Broke Joe Burrow and Joe Baroque. Haven't heard Joe Baroque before. Thomas, what's up, man? What advice would you give to a top quarterback recruit coming into college? This is the exact talk I just gave to the Elite 11 quarterbacks on Tuesday night. I'll post those of you guys on YouTube. I'll post that full video file of my talk to the Elite 11 quarterbacks. So Melissa, check it out. I don't know when I'll post it, but keep up on the socials, and I'll post it when the time comes up. I mean, my advice is always cut themselves some slack, enjoy the moment, have fun. Sounds cliche, but I was a guy that took it so seriously. That's why when I talk to those guys in the beginning of my talk, I always say, yeah, I'm one of the biggest busts in college football history, because I never had met anyone that had said that ever. And so I put so much pressure on myself. I like genuinely thought I'd live a miserable, lonely, depressing life if my football career didn't work out. Like that's the realities of being a 5-star quarterback and having it be your mission since you were 5 years old, and all the pressure and expectations that come with that. A lot of that self-imposed. A lot of that is just my own wiring and the own pressure I put on myself. Not every guy's wired that way. But I do think if I had heard a story of like, yo, my worst case scenario, my nightmare scenario, if that happens, I'm going to be just fine and live an amazing life, super fulfilling. Like I'm good. If I would have seen that story, I think I would have chilled a notch, and I think it would have helped me play better football, and I would have cut myself some slack, which would have helped me, especially early on in college. So that's where I always start. And then, dude, it is so crazy to me. Not dude, Melissa. Sorry, you're not a dude. But it is so crazy to me. I go and talk to those guys. I was the number one quarterback in the country. I got paid $0. I remember being stoked when my stipend check went up from like 182 to like $320 a month. I was hyped. Went to Bank of America, cashed that, and was good to go. These guys, every single dude in that room, with very few exceptions, are making six figures right now as seniors in high school. A couple of them are making seven figures. That is bonkers to me. That is bonkers. They have like, I had the world at my fingertips as a five-star quarterback 13 years ago. Those guys with the money literally have so much opportunity right in front of them. I encourage them to leverage social media, showcase their personality, build connections with the community. I mean, the 64 of you guys on TikTok and the 15 of you guys on YouTube, like, you guys all would, like, you know, the numbers would be so much higher if a five-star quarterback who's committed to this school is going on live and connecting with people and building personality. Like, the opportunity is endless. There's a lot of like strategy, which I tapped into with them that, you know, could go down for 15 minutes, but that's where I go with my advice. Zach, who was ranked above you of quarterbacks coming out of high school? Nobody. Which is crazy too. I was, it got me thinking, I was DMing with Goff. I don't say that as some like backdoor flex. He went to Elite 11 the day after me, but it's crazy. There was 25 quarterbacks in my class. There was two guys that became NFL starters, Jared Goff and Josh Dobbs, which is funny because Josh Dobbs is now like the backup guy. In that Elite 11 class, Goff was probably ranked like 11th going into the weekend, like in terms of like the recruiting rankings, and Dobbs was probably like 16th, 17th, 15th. Like, kind of crazy, right? You just never know how those things shake out. Overall, in the whole class, what were you? I think I was 8, 9, 10. It depends. So Christian Hackenberg was ranked above me on ESPN. I had it on Scout and Rivals. Scout was like the big platform back then. But we were like right there. I was like 8th overall player in the country. Guys above me were like Jalen Ramsey, Reuben Foster, Derrick Henry. Come on, Max. The Chiefs defensive end, or the Chiefs defensive, Chris Jones. Yeah, crazy. Like, can you imagine if, like, I'm here every single Tuesday and Thursday at noon with you guys, right? Can you imagine, like, if Tom Brady had like a booked in, let me go live with my following every Tuesday, and Tom Brady's not a good example because he already has, you know, but like a niche quarterback. Can you imagine if Kirk Cousins had a weekly live with his fans and just chopped it up with them? Dude, like the PR and like the connections there, everyone's wired different. He's going to be able to live life on his own terms no matter what, but that'd be so cool. That'd be so cool. Jamie asks, did I give Sam Heward, did he give me the scoop? There's been whispers out of camp that Maeva still has a pretty bad turnover bug. We did not go that deep. Honestly, because we're both from Seattle, 5-star quarterbacks. He's had a rocky start to his college career. My college career was a disaster, obviously. So we were kind of like relating there a little bit, to be honest. But it's interesting. I don't follow the beat or like the message blog. So it doesn't surprise me, unfortunately, that Maeva would be having the turnover bug, but hopefully he fixes that. Hey, people said that about Sam Darnold. So who knows? Farm Dog, what's up, man? Who's my team? From Seattle. So I'm a Seahawks guy. But I've been living in LA for the better side of the past 12 years. So it's awkward. Rams, and I love Stafford. Stafford's the homie. Actually, I shouldn't say Stafford's homie. I don't know Stafford, but he seems like the homie. But it's hard as a Seahawks fan living in LA as the years go on. And then college-wise, USC and Pitt, baby. USC and Pitt. Zach says, dude, I still laugh about the story of when I was messing around with the Cliff Bar when Lane Kiffin got fired. Great story. I feel like there's probably some new faces. I'll tell it again. What he's talking about. So we've all heard about the story of Lane Kiffin getting fired on the tarmac, right? At USC. He didn't get fired literally on the tarmac. He got fired from what I understand, he got fired on the little like side room where like the private planes land, like at the airport terminal is the word I was looking for. But it's crazy. At USC, I was a true freshman quarterback, so I'm sitting like way in the front. I was sitting with like the walk-ons and the specialists. We had just lost to, I believe it was ASU, so we're flying back that night. The head coach, at least for USC, always sat in the very back row at the very end, and never came to the front of the plane. They would always enter towards the back, and it was just like, hey, they get in their seat and they move on. But this one day, obviously, we would find out that night that Kiffin got fired. On our way back, Kiffin walked towards the front of the plane. And I'll never forget, as he's walking forward, again, I'm a true freshman, wasn't playing, probably shouldn't have been like laughing and whatnot, but we weren't being like disrespectful, but we're college kids, whatever. People were kind of joking or whatever we were talking about. We were giving these like goodie bags at the end of the game to like, Cliff Bars, bananas, snacks for the plane kind of thing. And one of my buddies got the Cliff Bar and then like mashed it all up to make it look like a huge male private part, and then like put it on my shoulder. And I was just kind of like sitting there. I like didn't realize. And Kiffin like walks up, sees us like messing around or whatever with me with like the Cliff Bar on my shoulder, gives us a huge glare, but then just keeps walking, doesn't really engage with us, which was like kind of interesting at the moment. Me connecting the dots later, I think what happened, I don't know this to be true, but what I think happened is Kiffin was walking up to the front. Again, he has no business to walk up to the front to then talk to Pat Hayden, who, if Kiffin sits in the very back, Pat Hayden would sit in the very front. And my gut says that was the conversation where Pat said, hey, meet me in the little terminal meeting room after the plane ride, before you get on the bus, we got to chat. And so the meeting that would then ultimately get Kiffin fired, I think on his way up to talk, again, I don't know this to be true. This is me just connecting the dots, context clues. On his way up, one of the last players he made eye contact was me, having a penis-shaped Cliff Bar on my shoulder. That's my tarmac story for you. It's all good though. I made a video on Kiffin and his career arc on YouTube, and he retweeted it. Shout out Kiff. And I called his game last year. So the color commentator handles the coaches meetings during the season. So I had Ole Miss versus Wake Forest last year. I called that game, and 10 years later, fun to chop it up with him. It is crazy to me, dude. He literally got fired, and one of the biggest criticisms was, hey, maybe he's not dynamic enough to like handle the media or handle the USC pressure or handle the young players or whatnot. And now he is like literally the most dynamic head coach in terms of embracing the new school media, new school generation. Good on Kiff. Good on you, dude. Good on you. Matthew Dean, appreciate you, dude. Opinion on Auburn going into the season? Fun fact, that QB commit at Elite 11 that's down between Auburn and South Carolina, he was giving me shit on Tuesday night for looking like Joe Burrow. I like that guy, though. He's got a good personality. I'm blanking on his name right now. But if I was an Auburn fan, go get that guy. I like that guy. He's between Auburn and South Carolina. I think he's like a 4-star quarterback up there. Go get that guy. I like him. He's got a good personality. My take on Auburn, I don't know the ins and outs of your roster. I know your roster is like sneaky stacked. Jackson Arnold. Yeah. I'm excited for him, man. That game, Auburn goes back to Oklahoma at OU. I believe it's at OU's house. Little revenge game. Sneaky. I believe that's early season. I think so. Sneaky. Phenomenal matchup. Revenge tour. Sorry, I can't talk. Jackson Arnold. As a former 5-star guy who didn't work out, I'm rooting for Jackson Arnold. I'm rooting for him. Hopefully he can turn it around. Love that. Auburn Soup on YouTube from the left field, from the rafters. Landon Duckworth. Yep, I like that guy. Auburn fans, go get that dude. I like his personality. From the rafters. Love it. What are Auburn fans feeling like for this year? I feel like it's you got to win 8 games or else you might have a new head coach, right? Are we in that zone yet? What's up, Davis? Do I think all the kids in the 26 signing class will stay with USC? If they win, yes. If they lose, no. Fun fact, in 2013, this time in 2013, My class was the number one class in the country. We had Jalen Ramsey committed to USC. We had who else was there? We had that Matthew Thomas, the linebacker who went to Florida State, won a natty there with the Seminoles. We had Eddie Vanderdoes, who played in the NFL, big career at UCLA. All those guys were committed to us at USC. Jalen Ramsey's the big one, man. On my official visit, I remember him head to toe in USC gear. Then he went to the NFL, got all swaggy. It was funny. But he decommitted. My point is, we were the number one class in June. USC goes 7-6. We were nowhere near the number one class when it was all said and done. You win, you'll figure it out. You lose, that ain't gonna happen. Jason, what's up, man? Good to hear that. Chatted with Mitch the other night, man. At Claremont or Skyline, or I guess if it's Christiane too, it's got to be probably the college days. Pork Bean Perry, how many points do we score on Clay Helton? For those that don't know, sneaky fun storyline. Week 2, Clay Helton and the mighty Georgia Southern, I don't know their mascot, come back to the Coliseum to play USC. You better believe Clay Helton's going to be fired up. Clay Helton is going to be juiced the F up. I think that game is close. I think that game goes into the fourth quarter. It's Georgia State, right? Yeah, Georgia State. Or Georgia Southern, USC. It's going to make a lot of USC fans nervous, a lot of USC fans anxious. That game's going to be close in the fourth quarter. The fighting Clay Heltons are going to put on for his squad, but USC is ultimately going to get it done. It's going to be funny because people are going to be like, yo, fourth quarter. But it's also going to be a reverse he's heel last year of not being able to close out games in the fourth quarter. So it'll be, oh, we fixed this problem. Kind of. Oh, it's a huge concern. He returns a ton of guys, dude. Clay Helton's going to have his boys ready to rock. Run through a wall, dude. Travis Wilson talking about Alex Anzalone, Joey Bosa, Alvin Kamara, to name a few others in the 2013 class. Travis, you're here like every week. So did I say this? Dude, on my 7-on-7 team, sorry, I forget my YouTube camera's not working. Sorry, YouTube. That's why the background's so bad. But my 7-on-7 team at the opening, true OGs will remember the Nike opening. My 7-on-7 team there was Alvin Kamara was our running back, and Alex Anzalone was our middle linebacker. And Anzalone was like a big recruit, don't get me wrong, but I didn't really know who he was before that. The fact that he is still playing in the NFL as a linebacker 10 years later, baller. Those two dudes are probably the most success on my team. Who else do we have? Honestly, those are like the two guys that I remember. Maybe I had Steven Mitchell, I think. But yeah, those are the two best pros that we had. Illegitimate humans. We have some wild usernames. Get you. Thanks, IH. Appreciate you. Why do I think USC has struggled in the past with terrible defense? Let me back off. Philemon, what is on here? I'm a football guy, college football analyst, call games, produce content for a living. So a lot of it is football chatter, but then sometimes we got some life chat about my story. I was a huge high school recruit back in the day. Do some content with my wife. So every once in a while we'll have a comment there about some Taylor Swift or some one-off husband-wife stuff. So it's a little bit of everything coming and hanging. I felt the reason I do this, though, I guess I probably should have said this. The reason I do this is I feel like I've kind of built up a brand on social of being like a football take guy. And I want to build a better connection with all of you guys to humanize it all, right? Football takes, you guys are coming for those takes, but I want you to stay for, the community, the connection. That's why I'm doing it. Because I think eventually, I think you need more than just football takes to ultimately reach that next level. And I've kind of plateaued with that, to be honest. Especially on TikTok, the takes, they do good traction, but it's also interesting too, not to go down the rabbit hole, but it's so much harder to get the follow on TikTok now than 3 years ago. Like now people are conditioned to just trust the formula, right? New page, I'll keep scrolling, whatever content I get. Years ago, people were wired with like the Instagram mentality of, I like that creator, let me go follow them. I don't want to miss their next thing. Let me follow them. Now it's not that way. So it's like, I feel like every creator is plateauing a little bit on TikTok to some degree, or like you can't grow as fast. Anyways, part strategy, part connection. But a little bit of everything comes Ah, NFL Padilla. I only say that because I just got asked like 3 questions. I'm not trying to live in the past, but that's where I get a lot of my questions. Jordan Love thoughts. Sneaky big year for Jordan Love. I feel like we'll find out whether or not he is going to be. I don't think he'll ever be a tier 1 quarterback. I don't think Jordan Love will ever be Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, even guys like a Matt Stafford. I don't think he'll be there. But I think we'll find out if Jordan Love is a consistent like can he be a top end tier 2 quarterback, or is he going to be a tier 3 quarterback indefinitely? I think it's really, really, really hard to win Super Bowls with a tier 3 quarterback. I think you can make the playoffs. I think you can win games. I think you can feel good about your season with a tier 3 quarterback. I think it's really, really, really hard to win games with that. But it's interesting because Jalen Hurts, I feel like, is the great outlier for a lot of those talking points, right? You like listen to sports talk radio and it's like, hey, we got to shoot for the guy with upside because we got to compete with a Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. But Jalen Hurts just won a Super Bowl. He's nowhere near those guys. So it can be done. It's just a lot harder. And obviously you have to have the ownership and the team around you to fall into place. Maybe the Packers get there, but yeah. NFC North is going to be very interesting this year. I agree. For every single team in that division. Lions, where are they at without their Wonder Boy offensive coordinator? Goff, you can make a similar comment to the Jordan Love. Like, where's he at this year? Caleb Williams, how does he respond to the first football adversity, sustained adversity that he's had? Do they take a step? Ooh, baby, the hot water is going to be cranked up if the Bears aren't better than last year. Vikings, the OGs in this chat know where I'm at with the Vikings. I'm not in on the JJ McCarthy train. Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. And then the Packers for sure. Bo Juro almost meeting our quota. That's 5 that I've seen. Any sleeper quarterbacks for next season? NFL wise, don't sleep on Sam Darnold. Wouldn't surprise me if he has another level to go to or surprises people that, hey, it wasn't just the Kevin O'Connell show. Darnold's interesting to me. I'm big on Michael Penix. People skip over Michael Penix and go straight to Bo Nix and JJ McCarthy. Dude, Penix got some weapons. He's a guy that I'm excited to watch. I'm not in on Justin Fields. I'm more optimistic on Aaron Rodgers. I see that video. That footwork's looking good. He's looking more healthy than he did 18 months ago. So I'm more optimistic on Aaron Rodgers. Kyler Murray, I think it's a big, sneaky year for Kyler Murray. Like, the Cardinals can't keep living in this mediocre zone. And Kyler's been around long enough where, something's got to give, especially, I guess, NFC West. People are expecting the Rams to be legit, but Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence, those guys, they gotta make a step this year, take a step this year. Big chunky bios again. What a username day out of you guys. What a handle name. Love it, man. Go Spartans, yo. Go Spartans. I'm using my backup camera today, but I got my Skyline helmet behind me. There we go. Not Ehi. Thought I was Joe Burrow. That's 6. Can we meet our quota for the day? Wait, Caesar, the stay-at-home dad. He says, nah, go Sco Ducks. Gosh dang it. That was my answer to that question last week. I'm high on Dante Moore. People sleeping on Dante Moore. The Ducks are going to be right there. I'm a believer in the Ducks. So just so we're on the same page there. Opinions on the Giants this year. I think they'll be better. I just don't think they have the firepower to really do anything in a stacked conference. So that's where I'm at there. JJ McCarthy will be the next Sam Darnold. Gets benched and then has a much better later career resurgence. It's an interesting take because the Vikings are a dream scenario for a young quarterback. So I don't put him on the same trajectory as a Sam Darnold. I don't put him on the same trajectory as a Geno Smith. I know the Browns were better than the Jets were with Darnold and Geno, so Baker had a better starting point. But even then, the Vikings are loaded for a young quarterback. So I don't know if JJ will get a true second shot. To me, it's kind of like you got to make it happen now. You got to make it happen now. And I guess, I mean, you never know how it shakes out down the road. But my point is, if you're not making it work with the Vikings, who are you going to make it work with? Will USC be an Indy for the Big Ten championship in December? I don't think so. No. Not to be a hater, but can't be a homer. Oregon's going to be tough. Ohio State's going to be tough. Illinois, I mean, this is the season that Illinois fans have been dreaming of. I think Nebraska will be better. Penn State, feel like people are getting a little too ahead of themselves with Penn State. We're drinking the Kool-Aid. We're trying to anoint Drew Aller too soon. I think Penn State's going to be legit, but people are talking them as like the number one team in the country. I'm not there yet, but they're obviously something that you gotta fight with. Indiana, I don't think Indiana repeats as last year. I think they're good, but they're not as good as last year. There's just a lot of teams in the Big Ten, man. A lot of teams in the Big Ten. Who else is there? Did I forget anyone? I think Washington is solid. Like any team that has to go up to Seattle and play that team with what Jed Fish did in year one, Washington's going to be rock solid. It's tough conference. Question for you. You were coached by some of the best play callers in college football. What made them great and what made them different? Christian Danko. Sorry, Travis. I think Christian gets the question of the day. Christian, I don't recognize your name, so welcome. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, so my play callers in college were Steve Sarkisian. A lot of people think that he's the best play caller in college football. I had Clay Helton as well. I had Lane Kiffin as well, another elite play caller. That's unique because Kiffin is a totally different offense. And then I had T. Martin, who's with Lamar Jackson right now in Baltimore. And then I also had Sean Watson, which is crazy, speaks to the college career. Sean Watson's now the head coach at Howard, I believe it is. The best play callers to me in 2025, you wouldn't have said this 15 years ago, but they can take the best of all the offensive schemes don't exist these days. Everyone's trying to do the same thing, at least the college days. No one's a spread, no one's air raid, no one's pro style. Everyone's trying to do the same thing with a few exceptions. But predominantly, everyone's trying to take the best aspects from pro style, the best aspects from air raid, the best concepts from pro style, both pass and run, and blend it all together. The best play callers do that the best. Sounds simple, much more difficult to do. I mentioned Jed Fish at UW. He does that. Jed Fish is a top 10 play caller in college football because he'll take a pro style play action concept. And then the very next play, he'll do a spread offense screen concept. And then the very next play, he'll spread you out 5 wide and go an air raid concept. And as the fan on your couch, you don't necessarily realize what you do, what he's doing. It's difficult for an offensive coordinator to do that because naturally you're running in and out of different personnel groups. You have to communicate that, tons of different things. That's what the best play callers do, in my opinion. They blend it all together in a seamless way where it complements each other. And it's not like, hey, we're having an air raid drive this drive. Hey, next drive, we're having a pro style drive next drive. Like they blend it all together. That's where I go with your question. Slam Dunk 1 says, I look like Joe Burrow, almost meeting our quota. That's 7 comments for the day. There we go. What round do you see Maeva being drafted next year? I don't see him being drafted next year. Best case scenario, I'd say, dude, best case scenario is first round, but I think he's got a long ways to go to get there. Drew Aller is Matt McGloin 2.0. Scott, Drew Aller has way more traits than McGloin. Colin, what's up, man? Could you run us through a little bit of the game you played against Rice when you were at Pitt? Matthew, true OG, man. That was my best college game ever. 4 incompletions that game. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it'd be fun to break down that film. I should do that one time. Dude, is that a bot? Lukey, people asked me that for that last week. Grab the edit. Like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Sorry. Scott, good stuff, dude. Same amount of TDs as completions, man. Yeah, and there was one that was a throwaway and one was a drop. Tough. That was a fun night, man. That was a fun night. I got Mexican food on campus that night. drank some margaritas, went to Peter's Pub. It was a fun night, man. Didn't have many of those in my college career, or at least after being the starter and winning a game. Jeffrey, what's up, man? Great question. Ooh, Christian, you're getting a run from your money from Pookie Dookie on TikTok. Do I think playing high school football in Washington did me a disservice in transitioning to college football? Another person asked me, hey, did I chop it up with, or what we were talking about with Sam Heward? Sam Heward and I were talking about that. Sam Heward, former 5-star quarterback, now quarterback at USC. We were talking about this, not this exact question, but it was the same. It was a similar phrasing. Here's where I go with that answer. Like, obviously, if I played in Southern California Trinity League, I think that would have prepped me better for college football. Obviously, it would have been probably more cutthroat. But yes, I would have been prepped better by being in the Trinity League college football. But you also can make the other side of like, hey, maybe there's a world where you get lost in the shuffle. Maybe there is a world where you lose confidence. Maybe there's a world where whatever, like you don't get as many reps. Like I started as a sophomore. Maybe that doesn't happen in the Trinity League. So there's trade-offs. The one thing I will say though is I played in a system in Washington where it wasn't easy. Like I was in the best conference in the state of Washington. There was Division I guys in my conference. We would play out of state. We'd always play like the best team from Oregon and the best team from Idaho. So it wasn't a cakewalk. Don't get me wrong. Like there was a reason my high school was ranked, top 25 in the country. But I will say you get so comfortable to things being kind of perfect, right? We would win every game pretty much. We threw for a bunch of yards. Every completion, it wasn't easy, but it was like, we're throwing for 320 yards a game kind of thing. I do think if I had a high school career where, I had games where I went 12 for 24 and you had to grind for every yard and you had to throw guys open and I was getting hit consistently and you had to I didn't have a good team around me, and you feel some of that stress and some of that pain and some of that struggle in high school. I think it preps you for the realities of what college football is. So that's where I go with that answer. And it's funny because my senior year of high school, we beat Cepho Lufau in the state championship. Cepho had a great college career, much better college career than I did. If you watch that high school game, he's having to work for every single completion. Like he's getting hit. Windows are super tight. Like his stats weren't anything crazy. But I think when you transition that to college, it's easier to transition because, you just haven't been used to things being, again, I don't want to say easy because they weren't easy, but like things being so clean, if that makes sense. Is a hot dog a sandwich? No, hot dog's not a sandwich. Johan, what's up, dude? Good to see you, man. Almost up against time. 6 minutes left. TikTok, man. You guys rocked it today. So the numbers there were solid. YouTube, solid day to you. Solid day. Milo, do I know Mount Si? Yeah, my nephews live in Mount Si country, man. Joe Burrow, we're at 8. User 36. We're at 8. 2 more to meet our quota. Pookie Dookie, thanks for the question. Thanks for the like, man. And dude, what a username day. You guys got some wild usernames, man. What happened to just first name, last name? What happened to my guy Scott and Travis and Johan making it easy? You guys got some wild usernames. Milo, Mount Si on top. You guys will be soon. What's been the catalyst for USC's recruiting turnaround? Focus more of their efforts on high school recruiting, Southern California recruiting, less on the portal, and their NIL bread has been leveled up big time. Bro might win MVP this year, Joe Burrow. You know it. It's funny. I think I'm going to see Justin Jefferson next week at a Under Armour event out here in LA. I'm trying to cook up some Joe Burrow lookalike TikToks. So stay tuned for those. As long as my defense plays well. There we go. How does Cooper Kupp do this year? I'm interested to see how the Seahawks use him because I view his skill set and Jackson Smith and Jigba's skill set comparable. Like who plays the outside lane guy? They got Valdez Scantling right on one side, but when you go 12 personnel and keep 2 receivers on the field, I'd imagine you're going to keep Kupp and JSN. How do you use those guys? A lot of tight formations, a lot of bunch formations, play action to K9. Sorry, freaking hiccups today. It'll be interesting. Were you in the Ivy League? Nah, I was a Pac-12 ACC guy. Is that who I think it is? That's funny. No, it's not. I was like, is it Kadarius Toney actually here? That's funny. Cup has an awful beard game. He's got an awful haircut game too. You cannot get away with that haircut if you have not won the Super Bowl MVP. Like, what are we doing here? Jonathan Lewis, this will be my last question of the day, unless someone one-ups this. What was my favorite throw to make on the field? Favorite throw to make on the field? Go ball. That's the classic answer, so I'll give you something else. I would say the timed out route to the field. If you're on the left hash and you have a timed out to the right sideline, and you like if you hit the timing there and you throw a guy open and you like that's a big boy throw. If you complete that, the feeling there is like hell yeah. Like all the time, all the practice, all the timing work. That one's money, especially in a game. That one's money. Also, like a dig route, you have like 3rd and long, and you bang a dig right behind a linebacker's head in front of the safety perfectly on time. That one's a fun one as well. What's the easiest offense in college football to be in as a QB? Spread. Everyone's trying to run spread, but if you're talking about pro style is the hardest. Spread and pro style, air raid, spread for the most part. There's like wishbone, obviously, but I think of those three, spread's the easiest. I think it's easier than air raid because air raid, in my opinion, you're going to run into games where you don't have the answers to pass the test, which is why air raid is harder than spread. Dude, Tanner, I feel for you, man. Went against Kaysen in high jump in middle school. Kaysen, I had a 5-star receiver when I was a sophomore. Kaysen Williams, he was an absolute beast. Great dude. Saw him last year at the UW game. Yeah, he was an absolute man-child in 8th grade. Dude, I remember. Hey, fun fact. Then I'll sign off. Tanner, you like this? So I was a 6th grader. He was an 8th grader in our little middle school. I was in the lunch line, literally, and even as a 6th grader, I'm thinking like, yo, I'm a quarterback. You know, you start mapping out. I went to a public school, so you can kind of map out like, okay, there was no quarterback in the 7th grade. And then who do I got to beat out as the 8th grade quarterback when the time comes? Because then, yo, this guy in front of the lunch line in front of me, he was like literally 2 spots ahead of me. Kaysen with a baggy black Jordan t-shirt. I'll never forget that. As like an 8th grader, had muscles popping out of his neck. And then it was always like, dude, when the time comes, you get the chance to throw to Kaysen as a sophomore. Ooh, that's a dream scenario. I threw 20 touchdown passes to him my sophomore year. He won State Player of the Year. Beast. Anyways, that's a good note to end on. There's always a niche Washington question, which I love. But this was fun. I'll be back Tuesday, noon. We're doing it every Tuesday, every Thursday. For those of you guys on TikTok, pop on over to YouTube. Got a bunch of content coming out. My video on Arch Manning that I posted on Tuesday has popped off. It's getting a lot of traction. Excited about that. I basically walk through Arch's path and how we're sleeping on the significance, or we've grown numb to the significance of this season. But then I walk through his path of how he can become the GOAT from lessons learned from other phenoms' careers. So like Bryce Harper, LeBron James, Coco Gauff, Peyton Manning, his uncle. It's formulated in a cool story. Go check that out. But especially those of you guys on YouTube. But this was cool. I'll see you guys on Tuesday at noon. Peace. Enjoy the weekend, Travis, Scott, Johan, all the locals. Jonathan, thanks for the question.